Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're tuning in from and what time of the day. Welcome to Unity Church of Sun Lake's Sunday lesson for the Labor Day weekend of 2022. This is our last Sunday where we're not meeting in person, and I'm so looking forward to getting back together with everyone next Sunday, September 11th. I have a couple of announcements that I want to make. That this Wednesday is Unity World Day of Prayer, and check your email. Julia Norton has put out an email about sign-up sheets for World Day of Prayer. Dennis Hubert has been working on this project, and there are 25-hour slots that you can sign up for and pray for an entire hour. So he's going to send out some guidance. There's also a opening ceremony and a closing ceremony to cap off the entire World Day of Prayer event. And one of the intentions where we want to do is pray for every single person in our congregation. So know that you will be prayed for and you will be blessed during this time. We will also be forwarding the names to Silent Unity so that your name will be continued to be prayed for the next 30 days. It's one of our flagship beliefs. Prayer is powerful. And so I invite all of you, if you haven't signed up, to reach out to Julia and take an hour slot. We'd really appreciate you. It's not for us, it's for you. Prayer changes you. It doesn't change God. It changes you. The second announcement I want to make is that next Sunday when we come together, another one of Dennis Hubert's projects towards becoming a licensed Unity teacher is that he will be leading part of the service next Sunday. And we talked about this idea of using the affirmation all summer long. I am loved, I am love, I love. And to use it throughout your day all through the summer. And then so we're going to have a little time next week to have people come up and share how their life was blessed using this affirmation or another affirmation that you may have worked with during the summer. And if you didn't, there may be an opportunity to share something delicious that happened to you this summer in the name of spirituality. So the shares will be about 1.5 minutes long, and so we have enough time to let people that want to share. So be thinking about what you would like to share. I'm really looking forward to that. Tomorrow is Labor Day. For many Americans, Labor Day means the end of summer and the beginning of the school year. But the holiday really celebrates the social and economic achievements of American workers. This holiday is rooted in the late 19th century, when labor activists pushed for a federal holiday to recognize the many contributions workers have made to America's strength, prosperity, and well-being. So on behalf of our board and myself, we want to wish you all a very happy Labor Day. And I want to thank you for your individual contributions to America's achievements. Today's lesson title is The Conditions of Emptiness and Alignment. There was once a family circus cartoon in which little Billy was eyeing a single piece of cake. His brother and sister were gathered round with hungry eyes. And he looked at them and he said, "There's only one piece left, and it's mine." Mom intervened. I can relate to this. I was child 5 of 6. Man, if there was something good and there was only one piece left, it was mine. But Billy's mom intervened and she said, "Billy, in this case, or in a case like this, what would Jesus do?" To which Billy promptly answered, He'd multiply it into 5,000 pieces. As most of you know, I have spent the summer studying the teachings of Jesus. And this month, we're going to explore in great depth the profound teachings embedded in Jesus' miracle of multiplying the loaves and fishes into 5,000 pieces. More, actually, because the scripture said that it fed 5,000 men, plus women and children. So in fact, this month we are going to look at 12 conditions of creating miracles that Jesus taught within this one miracle. According to Todd Michael, author of The 12 Conditions of a Miracle, there is nothing supernatural about miracles. When you set up the right conditions, miracles just occur. Charles Fillmore agrees with this. He wrote, God never performs miracles. If by miracle is meant a departure from universal law, whatever the prophets did was done by the operation of the law inherent in being and open to the discovery of every man. The formula, if you will, for entering into the consciousness where miracles automatically happen is embedded in this well-known miracle. Bible scholars have often thought there was something unique about it for two reasons. First of all, the miracles attributed to Jesus. This is the only one included in all four Gospels. And it is a miracle that Jesus performed not once, but twice. You didn't know that? I bet you didn't know that. It first appears in Matthew chapter 14, verse 13 through 23. I'm going to read from this Bible. It's called The Message. The Bible in contemporary language. I have thoroughly enjoyed using this book because it's written in modern language. When Jesus got the news, he slipped away by boat to an out-of-the-way place by himself. But unsuccessfully, someone saw him, and the word got around. Soon, a lot of people from the nearby villages walked around the lake to where he was. When he saw them coming, he was overcome with pity and healed their sick. Toward evening, the disciples approached him. We're out in the country, and it's getting late. Dismiss the people so they can go to the villages and get some supper. But Jesus said, there is no need to dismiss them. You give them supper. All we have are 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, they said. Jesus said, bring them to me. Then he had the people sit on the grass. He took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, lifted his face to heaven in prayer, blessed, broke, and gave the bread to the disciples. The disciples then gave the food to the congregation. They all ate their fill. They gathered 12 baskets of leftovers. About 5,000 were fed. As soon as the meal was finished, he insisted that the disciples get in the boat and go on ahead to the other side, while he dismissed the people. With the crowd dispersed, he he climbed the mountain so he could be by himself and pray. He stayed there alone late into the night. Now that's the one that is most known about. The second such miracle is reported in Matthew chapter 15, verse 32 to 39. But Jesus wasn't finished with them. He called his disciples and said, I hurt for these people. For 3 days now they've been with me, and now they have nothing to eat. I can't send them away without a meal. They'd probably collapse on the road. His disciples said, But where in this deserted place are you going to dig up enough food for a meal? Jesus asked, How much bread do you have? It was almost as if Jesus was saying, Now watch this carefully. I will show you fully once, so you get the picture. And then I'm going to do it again, so you can see how to do it for yourselves. It is logical that a master teacher would want to make sure that we understood how to do this ourselves. Because as we all know, while it is good to feed a hungry person a fish, it is far much better to show a person how to fish, right? And it would seem logical that we would find a lesson somewhere in the teachings that gives us specific instructions for how this miracle was done. But even the King James Version didn't contain specific instructions. Todd Michael, the author of The 12 Conditions of a Miracle, was frustrated with trying to find the deeper meaning. And so, in a last-ditch effort, based on frustration, he began to translate the passage for himself using the original Greek words which the author of Matthew used to craft this manuscript. It's not an easy task. Greek is deep and complex. Even trained scholars struggle over translations. Let me give you just one example, which I actually find quite fascinating. In the book of John it is written, "In the beginning was the Word." And I know that we've all heard that, haven't we? Well, the original Greek actually said, "In the beginning was the Logos." Logos. And if you look in a standard Greek English dictionary, you will find that the definition for logos is about 1.5 inches long. And word, as a definition, appears as the second to the last word. Now, if that's not confusing enough, if you look up the term logos in the Encyclopedia of Religion and Philosophy, you will find that there are 12 pages defining this term. And it's at its most superficial level, logos can refer to a spoken or written word. But more importantly, logos refers to that which gives rise to words, which of course is thought. Further, logos can refer to the creative cause and effect relationship between thoughts and words. And more generally, to the creative power of thoughts to manifest events and circumstances. So the phrase at the beginning of John could actually be more accurately translated as, in the beginning was a thought with powerful potential, a creative intent that ultimately gave rise to the entire universe. You'll find that in the book, The 12 Conditions, page 17. I think it's really cool, don't you? And as I said, it's very complex. So when Todd Michael went searching in the original Greek, he actually found a formula, if you will, for creating a miracle. He found the lesson plan, or the blueprint he was looking for. And the good news is, we don't have to do the searching. Rather, we get to enjoy exploring it. And that's really good, because my Greek is a little rusty. How's yours? So each week, that is what we're going to do this month. We will explore the rich subtext of the miracles of the loaves and fishes, to learn the 12 conditions of creating miracles. Before we delve into the first two conditions, I want to suggest something that will make this month meaningful and relevant to you, rather than just interesting or inspiring. Remember the words of Mary Morrissey, who says, "Inspiration without action is simply entertainment." I invite you to think about something in your life right now that you have thought could use a miracle. Okay? Or something that at this point you really don't see a way for the shift, the manifestation, or the demonstration. It could be a dream, or a goal, or a part of the larger vision for your life. So pick something that seems, from where you sit today, out of reach for you. And then as we work through this month, apply each of the 12 conditions that we discussed to it. And then let's see what happens. With all that said, let's begin today with looking at conditions of a miracle. Number 1 and number 2. They are emptiness and alignment. Condition number 1, emptiness. Let's explore this first condition of a miracle, which is found in the first statement of the passage in Matthew. At first glance, it could just seem like a statement of fact with no lesson. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Matthew 14 verse 13 reads, "When Jesus heard of it, he departed to his boat, alone, to a desert place." And in the statement is revealed a condition that must always initiate a miraculous event. What is a desert, really? A dry, arid place that is virtually devoid of any substantial resources, right? A desert has no food, no water, no shelter, and no edible vegetation. But more importantly, a desert has no people, no noise, no politics, no arguments, no books, and no words. A desert is a place of profound isolation, silence, and emptiness. In actuality, Jesus went into the desert and put himself in a place of emptiness, a vacuum. Because a vacuum is empty, it possesses the tremendous potential to be filled. Oh, I just got goosebumps. We have probably all heard the statement, nature abhors a vacuum. A place of emptiness is just begging to be filled. You have all placed your finger in the sand and watched it immediately fill in. Or you have sucked the air out of your mouth, and what do your cheeks do? They immediately fill in the empty space. Here's how Todd Michael describes what occurs when we created a place of emptiness. Consider for just a moment what it would be like to be within a vacuum. Imagine that you are sitting somewhere and all the air, all matter, all the energy, all the light immediately surrounding you is taken away. What kind of things would you observe from this vantage point? You would see everything rushing towards you. You would see energy and resources automatically flowing toward you. Coming in from every direction. Why? Because of the principle that everyone knows. Nature abhors a vacuum. Whenever a state of emptiness or lack is created, nature immediately mobilizes it. It immediately mobilizes to fill it. And what is nature? So let's be very clear here. Of course, nature is spirit. Spirit abhors a vacuum. A vacuum is a state, a condition. When carefully looked at, any miracle can be shown to have started with this condition. The miracle of the loaves and fishes begins in the same way. Jesus put himself in a vacuum by going into the desert so that the powerful and the automatic yet natural force of creation could begin. And here is an interesting fact. He didn't just go into the desert alone before the miracle took place. At verse 23, we read that he went back into the desert after the miracle concluded. In other words, he started from a place of emptiness and silence. And once the miracle was completed, he returned to it. He is showing us the circular nature of all life in these acts. It's like the flower of life. Subtle, but oh so very important. More on that in a later week. So how can you go into the desert? Set up your vacuum and thus put yourself in the position to experience God's miraculous good flowing towards you. It's two-pronged. It's inward and outward. Inward, though, not surprisingly, is meditation, prayer, going into stillness. Michael writes, the ability to access a meditative state is vital to the success of your dream, your miracle. Within it is knowledge, and knowledge is power. And it is power, the right kind of spiritual power that will allow you to change things. We all know that the knowledge or information that can really help us manifest our dreams often is not found at the level of our conscious thought. It is deeper than that. And we tap into it through our robust meditation practices. Miracles unfold not by magic, but by knowledge. Money will not magically appear in your wallet. The perfect job will not just drop into your lap as you watch reruns and eat potato chips while sitting on your couch all day. A soulmate is not going to materialize from thin air and ring your doorbell. Disease will not inexplicably heal as you continue to think negative thoughts and abuse your body. Instead, by going into the desert, by creating the vacuum through meditation, you will receive insights, revelations, our daily bread, substance, knowledge into how to bring your miracle into physical, tangible form. You'll have a divinely inspired idea for generating financial good. You will come to understand how to go about curing the disease, where to look for your job, or who you need to become so that you can attract your soulmate. Charles Fillmore wrote in Talks on Truth, page 98, so we all must find the Father consciously in our own inner temple. The kingdom of heaven is within. We must go there day after day and ask for guidance. Mere denials and affirmations will not do it. God is spirit. Spirit is mind, and mind knows. It is not an abstraction that dwells in a vacuum to be invoked by some magical formula. But it must be cultivated and communed with, as a child communes with his parents. And I go further to say, as the inner child, as you as the parent commune with your inner child. So meditation creates the vacuum inwardly and allows us to tap into that eternal wellspring of good that is within us. Always. Then you need to create a state of emptiness in the world around you in order to finish setting up the first condition of a miracle. So here's how this works, and see if you can relate to this. Have you ever had the experience of lack in your life? Lack of money, lack of love, maybe a lack of opportunity, and found yourself clinging desperately to what you had? Remember, everything moves in cycles. Everything is part of the eternal flow. If nothing is released, nothing can come in. So if you're experiencing lack of any kind, you must release, let go, relax, create emptiness, and allow the vacuum law to take hold. Condition number 2, alignment. In verse 14 of Matthew 14, it reads, "And Jesus went out and saw large crowds, and he had pity for them," suggesting a shift in his focus from within to without. He was now focusing on the people surrounding him and feeling their suffering. The author of Matthew chose a very interesting Greek word to describe the exact nature of this shift from inner to outer focus. Although the original word is traditionally translated as filled with pity, as it was here, a more accurate translation would be moved with compassion. And not merely felt compassion. No, he was moved with compassion. And what is compassion but love in action? Love in motion. Love flowing. So what does this condition of alignment mean? It means aligning ourselves with the pure love that is spirit. Now, doesn't that just tie nicely together? And it ties back to what we discussed last week when we explored real love. R-E-A-L. Realize everything's about love. So imagine what Jesus experienced when he came out of the desert. The state of meditation, emptiness, out of the state of a vacuum. He was immediately confronted with an ocean of humanity, probably not at their best, because they were hungry and they were tired. And they were probably a little cranky and hangry. And he saw people for what they are. He saw all of them, all of their human frailties. He not only saw their lack and their hunger, he also saw their spiritual ignorance, their greed, and their selfishness. After all, these were ordinary people. Put yourself in this position for a moment. To do that, we need to go back to the first few words that began this passage. It said, "When Jesus heard of it, he departed thence by boat, alone to a desert place." When Jesus heard of what? What he heard that sent him off to the desert was the beheading of his friend and mentor, John the Baptist. He went into the desert to grieve the loss of a friend. What might you feel if you were dealing with a terrible sense of grief? You went away to meditate, and you came out of your meditation to find a crowd of loud, anxious, sick, hungry, demanding people pressing in from all sides around you? Do you think you might be somewhat irritated? Would you feel imposed upon? Perhaps even offended or disgusted? Could be. But the passage tells us that Jesus' automatic reaction was that of deep concern and care. Far from being upset and irritated at the masses, he felt an instantaneous and natural love and was moved to help them. Todd Michael also writes on page 53, the wording of the scripture also says volumes about what he didn't feel. He didn't judge the people for their shortcomings or react with revulsion or moral condescension. His compassion contained no political agenda. His compassion was an expression of pure, unconditional love. Charles Fillmore wrote, "Love taketh not account of evil." Love never sees anything wrong in that which it loves. If it did, it would not be pure love. Pure love is without discriminating power. It simply pours itself out upon the object of its affection and takes no account of the result. By so doing, love sometimes casts its pearls before swine, but its power is so great that it transforms all that it touches. So how do you feel about others that appear around you as you travel through your life? It is important to examine your reflex reactions to those that are different from you. Those that you encounter on the street or in the grocery store as you move throughout your life. Be honest with yourself. How often is your automatic reaction one of true, heartfelt compassion? If your honest answer is, not often, then at least you are in touch with a block to your ability to be a miracle worker. If you seriously intend to see miracles in your life, then you will need to intentionally cultivate automatic reflexes of genuine compassion. Every time you ask the name of the panhandler and give him or her a smile along with some help, maybe put change into a charities canister, let a car move ahead of you in traffic, or return the shopping cart to the rack, smile at a stranger, compliment a coworker for good work, etc. Every time you do anything unselfish and helpful, you bring yourself closer to perfect alignment with the love of Spirit. So there you have the first two of our 12 conditions, emptiness and alignment. This week, think and act on them as they relate to your vision and dream. And then be back for the next 4 Sundays so that you get each one of them. Because then when these 12 conditions are activated together, they act as a kind of door which opens into the dimension of the miraculous. You will be happy to know that you are probably already aligned with some of them, if not many of them. And you're probably familiar with the concepts behind all of them. But what you perhaps haven't done is put them all together in an organized fashion. And that is what we are doing this month. We are putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Once assembled, these conditions form a kind of engine with 12 cylinders. When all 12 cylinders are firing together, the power they generate is beyond comprehension. It is a power that can change your life so drastically that you cannot, in your current state of awareness, imagine the universe that will open for you. You will see that you have the power to be a miracle worker yourself. God bless you. And we will see you next week in person. So grateful for all of you. I love all of you. And enjoy the rest of your Labor Day weekend. Mwah. Namaste.